Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yesterday we made a point that a human being is typically desiring or requiring an approval from others. I feel happy or successful when I get approval from the world, from others, particularly what we call some significant people whose opinion is important to me. And everybody has some significant people in their life whose acceptance is very important to them, whose opinion is important to them, whose approval is very important to them. Here it will be interesting to analyze the different dispositions of the people. This you must have heard, that the human mind is a composite of three kinds of dispositions: sattva, rajas and tamas. So there are some persons in whom sattva is predominant, we can call sattvic people. There are those in whom rajas is predominant, call them rajas or rajasic people. There are others in whom tamas is predominant, tamasic people. Bhagavad Gita describes all these people, and their satisfaction comes in different ways from different sources. A person who is predominant in tamas, a tamasic person. Lord Krishna says, ayuktaha, prakrutaha, stabdaha, shataha, nishkrutikaha. When tamas is predominant, then one is a very base material person, a cruel person, insensitive person. So tamas is characterized by insensitivity and very often cruelty. The satisfaction of a cruel person comes from, generally, inflicting pain to others. His happiness comes from the unhappiness of others. That's how the mind is. Like a hunter who goes to a forest with a rifle and hunts an animal, an innocent creature. These animals are that way innocent. They are not equipped with any defense mechanism. They don't have any weapons with them. They live in their habitat and live their life as programmed by nature. And here this person goes and shoots and kills and gets a satisfaction out of that. That person's success perhaps comes when he has successfully hunted an animal. I don't know how would you feel when you kill somebody deliberately and see that thing dying, struggling and dying. And if that kind of pain and suffering can give you satisfaction. You can imagine how cruel or insensitive that mind must be, which derives satisfaction out of this. So tamas means insensitivity to the feelings and sentiments of others, and deriving satisfaction from their pain. So this is one kind of success, I guess. Person feels successful. You know, there are even violent sports, like those bullfights, where bull fights with each other, or human beings fight with bulls. And there are people who watch them, thousands of people who watch them, and they're roaring. And sometimes people get killed in that. And their joy seems to come from that kind of a thing. So it is true that there is a killer instinct, like a boxer who goes to the ring to defeat that person, hurt that person. So their satisfaction comes from knocking him out, making him unconscious, hurting him. And of course, the world gives premium to the one who can do more and more of that. So what kind of mind that must be, which has created this kind of sport, where the satisfaction comes from knocking others, showing your superiority, and sense of their self-worth comes by hurting others, by knocking down others. So that also is a mindset, a tamasic mindset. But in the evolution, this is at a very low rung of evolution. The evolution is from tamas to the rajas to the sattva. The insentient objects that you see, like the stone, rocks, etc., have no sentiency at all, no life at all, no sensitivity at all, total tamas. And even living beings also, in nature also, nature has, this tamas also is necessary, by the way, in the scheme of things. Because creation, sustenance and destruction, all these three, there must be a balance. Today we went to the nature center, and how nature maintains a balance. So the food chain, and how nature is designed there, some life depends upon the other life, and some animals are predators. They are designed to live on others, other creatures. So there is tamas in nature, because then only there can be destruction. So creation is there and destruction also should be there, then there is a balance. So that is quite all right. This is their level of evolution. It's where they are. But we are talking about human beings because they don't have any idea of success and failure. They are only powered by their basic instincts of appeasing their hunger. And as we said yesterday, procreating. They are the natural instincts. They may feel successful when these instincts are satisfied. Other than that, there is no great idea of success. They right away forget it. But there are human beings also at that level that shows that they are at a very low rung of evolution. Then there are people predominant in rajas, and most human beings will perhaps fall in this category where rajas is predominant. Ragi, karma phala prepsuhu, lubdo, himsatmaka, ashuchihi, harsha shokan vitah karda, rajasa, parikirtitaha. Lord Krishna gives a description of these people. Lubdaha, well, lobha or greed is a predominant element. Ragi, whenever they do something, they do it out of attachment and aversion, out of craving. So craving is the most predominant, feeling within themselves. And powered by craving, they do things. So greed also is a manifestation of that craving. So greed, craving, also insensitivity, not as much as that of a tamasic person, but Rajasic person was insensitive because very often their achievements are at the cost of other people. When a corporation takes for another corporation, it's predator. There are predator corporations who take over others and then split them apart. And they're all entities. Human beings are all entities. So this is the mentality. Rajasic. Harsha shokanvitah karta. Whereas the tamasic person insensitive. And insensitivity deprives you from enjoying life. Because not sensitive, so you cannot expect a tamasic person to enjoy natural food, natural things. Cannot expect that person to enjoy even simple things like music, etc., or nature or beauty. It's just that sensitivity is not there. They require hard things. The music also is a hard music. They need hard things, to stimulate their mind. So, that is tamas shows insensitivity. We are not talking about them because they won't be even around here to listen to these talks. Lord Krishna says, Navam dushkritino muda prapadyante naradamaha maya pahata jnanaha asuram bhavamasitaha. People predominant in demoniac tendencies. Lord Krishna says, they never worship me, they never surrender to me, I'm never in their life. There is no place of Ishvara in the life of these people. Because to recognize Ishvara also requires sensitivity, these people just don't have that. Rajasic people also are very sensitive to themselves and they are very aware of it. There is a strong sense of want and lack and dissatisfaction within themselves, and therefore the need of approval also is very strong. So yesterday a question was asked of me, Swami, you said that seeking approval from others is ego gratification. Ego gratification. Yes, that is true. In the Rajasic person, the ego is most predominant. Therefore, ego gratification is the most important need. But Swamiji, the question was that we need appreciation from others. That is not the same as seeking approval. Seeking appreciation of others is not the same as seeking approval from others, but in a way it is. Because needing appreciation, I want somebody to make note of what I did. I want somebody to appreciate and praise me. That also is ego gratification. So ego that wants praise, ego that wants, so even seeking praise also is part of the same ego gratification. So for a Rajasic person, gratification of ego is a mark of success. He feels I'm successful when the ego is gratified. And I think most people would fall in this category. And this is what is basically promoted as success in the world, the Rajasic success, which comes by strong ego gratification, which is all right. But is that success a desirable success? Is it a lasting success? The answer is no, because this ego is like fire. And more you try to satisfy the ego, more demanding it becomes. It is like trying to appease the fire by pouring butter into that, and how the fire becomes more and more demanding. And so more we satisfy the ego, more demanding it becomes. And never harsha shokanvitah karta. This person is always characterized by harsha and shoka, elation and depression. When he is so-called successful, he is elated. When he is not successful, he is depressed. Harsha shokan vitah karta. Therefore, the mind of this person, people, is characterized by the swinging mood of harsha and shoka, of elation and depression. Meaning that sense of success is a very short-lived sense of success. Because that high of harsha or the elation is followed by depression also. And as I said, the ego demands more and more. And so whereas formerly, as I said yesterday, scoring 75% made me feel successful, next year 80% requires, same level of satisfaction requires, my ego requires 80%, 85%, 90%, 95%, and I am driven crazy. That ego, the person is driven. So, this ego gratification is continually creating more and more dissatisfaction, more and more demand, more and more craving. So, there is one way of seeking success in life. This kind of success is characterized by always being dependent upon others. My ego will be gratified provided the world favors me, then only my ego gets satisfied. That's why we said that person is seeking approval. And when I am seeking approval of others, or when my sense of being successful depends upon some event out there, which is called success, number one, that I cannot control it. This success which depends upon the outcome. For a Rajasic person, this success depends upon the outcome. If the outcome is as expected or better than expectation, then I consider myself successful. But as Lord Krishna says, Ma phaleshu kadachana, outcome is something that we cannot control. Outcome is unpredictable. Although we make all the efforts to make the outcome as predictable as we can, and we should also take into account all variables, but still, everybody knows that the outcome is unpredictable. We cannot control the outcome. If we could control the outcome, everybody will become the Olympic champions. Everybody will shoot. If I can control the outcome, then I'll make sure that I always shoot the target. I never miss the target. But the best of the people miss the targets. The best of the champions, they lose. I mean, we see in Wimbledon and Forest Hills and places where number 1 seeded is defeated by some number 22 seeded or something. Sometimes it happens. Meaning that outcome is something uncertain, unpredictable, I cannot control, and if my sense of success or satisfaction or approval depends upon the outcome, I can never be certain. It is most stressful way of living life. Harsha shokan vitah karta. This person whose success is derived from the outcome. Success is derived from some favor happening out there. When I depend upon the world to favor me because the outcome is something that is given by the world, and if my sense of success depends upon the favor that I derive from the world, it is always uncertain, unpredictable. And understand that the world always requires a pound of flesh from me to really become favorable to me. It wants more and more price from me. So the reason why we have chosen this topic of success is that this is generally what goes by the name of success in the world. This is Rajasic success. Tamasic success, of course, which is the cost of other people, which is from violence, by violating the success, violating dharma, violating other people's rights, violating their sensitivities. I mean, there is too gross and too dense to even address. Our Buddha Swami used to say that the nature will take care of them. They will be cooked in the furnace of the nature for many, many lifetimes. Then slowly and slowly perhaps they may come up. Tanaham dushrah kruran samsareshu naradhaman kshipami ajasram ashubhan asurishveva yonishu. Lord Krishna also says that their fate is only birth again and again into lower and lower kinds of species where pain and suffering is predominant. So tamas is characterized by pain and suffering, rajas characterized by all stresses, harsha and shoka, elation and depression. So this is what the present notion of success is. And this is a success that everybody wants to go after. And in that respect that we are discussing this, that what we understand as success today, is it really success? Because what is success? Success is always equated to the outcome. When I have a desirable outcome, when my desire is satisfied, then I am called a successful person. Or I look upon myself as a successful person when my desire is satisfied, when the outcome is satisfactory or favorable to me. This is the definition of success the world has. And it is a very stressful definition and a wrong definition. This only creates nothing but stress and unhappiness everywhere. And what we find is that everybody seems to only create stress for the others. It's all hurt parampara. You hurt me and I hurt somebody else and somebody hurt somebody else. And this is what we find going on. Nowhere there is peace. Nowhere there is a sense of comfort or security, because you can get, if the bottom line is important, then it doesn't matter what cost, what human cost is involved. We draw charts in terms of the gross national, product and things like that. And so 7.5% and 8% and stuff, this is all right. The charts are good, but at what cost? We do not take into account the cost in terms of peace of mind of the people, in terms of the stress level in the people. And the stress level does not only remain with an individual, the stress generally spreads out. Because when my mind is stressful, it affects my behavior, and in turn it affects my relationship with others, so they are also affected. And thus, then I come home stressed out and I pass on the stress to my family members, and then they pass on to somebody else. Many, many years ago, I watched a movie called The Inspector General. There's very few movies, so the same example comes back again. But I remember that exam. There's Inspector General. He's, the highest, officer. And he came to his office one morning, and perhaps something had happened at the home, and therefore he was highly stressed out. And his assistant, who is also a very senior person, came and saluted him in the morning as they do, and this fellow just slapped him. He slapped him for no reason at all. And what can the assistant cannot say anything, because this is all police, and you can't talk back, you can question anything. So this fellow comes out, and his assistant comes and salutes him. He gives him a slap. This slap parampara went on. Ultimately this poor police officer, lowest fellow, went out, he slapped his wife. And the wife slaps her son, and son slapped the friend. So everybody seems to take out the stress on somebody else. And this is how we find the whole life has become so stressful, because of the wrong definition of success. Success is extremely important to us. Every human being wants to be successful. It's not that it's a cultivated desire. We are born with a desire to be successful, so we have to be successful in life. You can say that we are born with an agenda of success. and therefore we are seeking success. But it all depends upon what I understand as success. And if this is my understanding, that success is ego gratification, and since I cannot gratify myself, the problem is that I do not know how to gratify myself, therefore I depend upon you to gratify my ego. That is what is meant by seeking approval from others. Or I want an outcome to gratify me, therefore the outcome becomes important. That's what I call success. Then I feel a sense of self-worth. So yes, I will be successful and I feel a sense of self-worth. A little self-pride. That is when the idea of success is, which is all right. I think we have certainly the freedom to feel self-worthy and self-pride. Nothing wrong in it. But what is the source of my feeling self-worth? If that source is something outside of me, then it is always characterized by dependence, uncertainty, stresses, and therefore unhappiness. So this kind of success that we are talking about does not seem to contribute to happiness of the human being. Yeah, a human being wants happiness, but the success doesn't seem to make a person happy. No, Swami, I do become happy when I am successful, but how long? Happiness that comes by fulfillment of desire, how long does it last? I was always aspiring for a new car, and I had this deal with my father that if I score certain 4.0 average in my high school or something, or I get this many marks, point in SAT, then you must give me a new car at the age of 18. Father said, okay. Indian fathers do anything. And so this young man on the very first 18th year, he has his driver's license, he can drive independently now, and he has a new BMW car, and he is ecstatic when he drives. That ecstasy will last how many days? First day is ecstatic, second day ecstatic, few days ecstatic, and slowly you get used to it. The law of diminishing return applies everywhere, and therefore the same thing that gave me a sense of great self-exhilaration or excitement, slowly and slowly its capacity to give me excitement reduces, going. And he gets used to that BMW. In the beginning he was polishing it and showing off to his friend and to his neighbors and everybody, and slowly then he goes for something else. So this is how the capacity of something else to make me happy is always a diminishing return. And so if our happiness and success depends upon these external phenomena, external happenings, external objects, it is uncertain, stressful, at the same time short-lived. And therefore, I again find myself seeking success. Seeking success. Meaning that the kind of self-worth or self-satisfaction that this kind of success seems to impart to me is short-lived. And we are not satisfied with only short-lived happiness. You want happiness that is lasting happiness. If possible, you want long-lasting happiness, everlasting happiness. Really, desire behind all desires to be always successful. Or everlasting happiness. And this so-called success does give me some happiness, but then it is only fleeting happiness. Not only that, but it also extracts a tremendous cost from me. It leaves me more and more exhausted. By the time I become 60 or 70, I am burnt out completely with the life. That's not the way to live life. That's not true success. So this is where Vedanta teaches what true success is, number one. And then, as we said yesterday, how to make our life a process of achieving that true success. What is important is that we embark upon the right process. And that success also, as we will see, is not something that comes in future, it comes right away. A success that you can command, not a success that is unpredictable. That depends upon the whims of the world, and that depends upon the price that the world extracts from me to be favorable to me. A success that comes independent of anything else. And that success is possible, and that's what the true success is. So ultimately, what is success? Even what we call successful in terms of when my desire is fulfilled is successful. When I'm honored is successful. When my ego is gratified is successful. Fine. So what happens when I feel successful? Success, understand, is a state of mind. Even though we always associate it with some external phenomena or external objects or achievements, ultimately success is a state of mind. That external achievement, which I call success, creates in me a state of mind, which is what we call success ultimately. What is a state of mind? Which is when I feel, as I said, self-worth. I feel myself acceptable to myself. At that time, there is a self-acceptance, a self-worth and self-acceptance. So what makes me successful keeps changing. What event makes me successful, what phenomenon makes me successful, what object creates in me a sense of success will keep on changing. In fact, when I am healthy, when I am able to walk, walking 5 miles a day also is not a big 10,000 steps. Okay, it's a routine thing. These days, steps, you count your steps. I have a pedometer here. And so, 10,000, I'm successful. At night I say, how many steps did I walk? Oh, still 9,100. Oh, 2 more rounds required. So, it's amazing. It's like addicting. I think they know that once you give a target to this fellow, then human being what he is, then he will want to go for that. So if 10,000 steps are not complete, I feel unsuccessful for that day. And therefore I must take some more rounds in the Gurukulam to build up my 10,000 steps. That's satisfaction. So whenever I feel successful, what happens? What creates in me a sense of success changes. So when I walk 5 miles, it's not a big deal. But a person is, suppose he met with an accident and suffered a leg fracture in the leg, and he was laid up in the bed for 6 weeks in a plaster. And then the physical therapist says, okay, now you can take some load on this right leg. Try. Stand on the leg. Walk a step. He says, no, I can't do that. It's too painful. I think I can't balance it. So 1 step if I take and 2 steps, oh, I could do that. I could take 1 step or 2 steps, I felt successful. Imagine a person who did not feel successful walking 5 miles a day, 10,000 steps, feels successful with 1 or 2 steps. Why is it so? Because what makes a success is different. What creates in me a sense of success is quite different. What happens to me when I am successful is the same. Meaning that the state of mind which I have when I am successful is the same, regardless of what is the occasion or what's the cause. So what happens out there only becomes instrumental, becomes incidental in creating a state of mind which is what we call success. And that's why same person feels successful in different situations, or different people feel successful in different situations. Somebody is successful in making $1 million, other fellow feels successful and he gives away $1 million. It's quite possible. There is no fixed description of what is successful. But there is one thing is common, and that is a given state of mind. So what happens to me when I feel successful? What is the state of mind? When I am happy with myself. I am accepting of myself, which required a lot of, at a great cost. I had to work very hard to achieve that result, and then the result created in me a sense of self-acceptance, a sense of self-satisfaction. That is what is success. when do I call it successful? When there is self-acceptance, self-satisfaction. It is likely that next time the same result may not create in you the same sense of success, because, as I said, diminishing return, and therefore perhaps I may need more to create the same state of mind. But what happens in me when I feel successful, or what happens to you when you feel successful, is the same. And that is that we have a state of mind where there is self-acceptance, self-satisfaction. So what is success? Self-acceptance. And what's the degree of success? More self-acceptance there is, more self-satisfaction there is, more successful I am. And when am I most successful? When there is total self-acceptance or total self-satisfaction, then I am the most successful. Yas tvatmartareva syat atmatruptasya manavah atmanyeva cha santushtah tasya karyam na vidyate. Lord Krishna says one who derives a satisfaction from one's own self, one who derives the contentment from one's own self, one who derives the total happiness from one's own self, that is, the word used there is a wise person, but really he is the most successful person. So it's amazing how Bhagavad Gita equates wisdom as a means of success. Bhagavad teaches that really wisdom or knowledge is the means of success. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of my own self. What do you mean knowledge of myself? I know myself. No, I know myself all right, but then I know myself to be quite different from what I truly am. Meaning that actually success is my nature. Vedanta teaches that success is the nature of the self. And success therefore is not something that I have to seek from outside. But even though success is my nature, I don't feel I am successful, meaning that my perception of myself is quite different from what I truly am. This is a basic human problem. The basic human problem is a wrong perception of one's own self. Whereas, in truth, success is my nature, satisfaction is my nature, happiness is my nature. But then, how do I feel about myself? What is my perception of myself? That I'm a lacking, wanting, incomplete being. I'm insufficient. This is what my perception is. And therefore, I'm trying to become sufficient. I'm trying to become complete. Thus, I have embarked upon a process of becoming in order to be successful. I'm trying to become successful. So, now there are two models. What Vedanta teaches is that you don't have to become successful, you have to discover that you are successful. And the process that I have undertaken is, I'm trying to become successful. If you ask a person who wants to be successful, ask him, what do you mean by being successful? Can you describe a successful person? Children sometimes write the essays of my ideal home and what I like to become. Somebody wants to become a prime minister, somebody wants to become this, that and whatnot. So people seem to describe a successful person. So we have a picture in our own mind of what a successful person is, and I'm trying to mold myself according to that. Vedanta teaches that you cannot become successful. Regardless of what you become, you will never feel a sense of success. You will never have a sustained sense of success, regardless of what you become. Otherwise, can there be a more successful person than President of the United States? I mean, it's just, I guess, most successful person in the whole world. Is it not so? But that success comes with what? Effort. What an amount of effort is required for years together, day in and day out, and hours, and how many rallies and how much, what an amount of work is required, day and night. and finally you are elected. You must be the most successful person, is it not so? There is no greater achievement, I think so anyway, but you can always dispute me, I have no problem with that. But the thing is, how long do you feel successful? So when Clinton, won second time, then he took vacation for a couple of days, so we are severing our success for a couple of days, that's all he had. And once you come into the job, then all those demands and stresses and strains, etc. require. I thought this was, I did not realize it was so difficult. But now you know what? This fellow, the present president, is already embarking on the process of a second re-election, because he's already going around and addressing rallies as though it's an election rally, because he's working for because otherwise you're a failed president. Just one-term president is not a successful president. Can you believe that? Formerly there was no limit to how long you can be, so people were a president for a number of years, but now they were restricted to 2 terms. But a 2-term president can be called at the most a successful president. And then also they have all criteria of who was successful president. And so far nobody has scored as many points as Lincoln, I guess. The most successful president United States that produces Lincoln. And every new president will work hard to try to live up to that kind of an image, and everybody feel, hey, failure president, failure president. So what is success? What is failure? So you're trying to become successful. Vedanta teaches that you can never become successful. Regardless of what you become, you will never feel that you are successful. Just to give the example of Usain Bolt, and the fastest runner in the world, but he never feels, he boasts all right, like Muhammad used to boast all right, that there is nobody like me. That shows there is some problem inside. The fact that you have to boast and you have to prove to the world, that's why you're always seeking approval of the world. But there is nobody like me, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. That shows that he doesn't feel so inside. He felt he was greatest, he was self-assured. There is no need to claim and no need to demand, attention or demand approval of other people. So that's the craze of seeking approval. I am the greatest. Muhammad Ali, Usain Bolt and all these people are, I am the greatest. They are great, no doubt about that, but they don't think they are great. They are trying to become always successful. So Vedanta teaches that you can never become successful. See, this is told to you. If I am addressing young people, I would address them in a different way, by the way. So if you tell your children like this, then there will be no incentive in their life. No, we won't tell them this. We are telling this to people who achieved a certain amount of success, who tested it and who know what it is, and so who can understand what we are talking about. Those people won't understand. Children, and they won't understand what are you talking about, Swamiji? So we won't tell them this. We tell people what is politically correct. I mean, we're correct for that audience, But for this audience, we should know that you can never become successful. You discover that you already are successful. The success is the nature of yourself, and that is to be discovered rather than becoming. So human being has embarked upon a process of becoming successful. And it's always elusive. You thought you are successful, and again you find that you are seeking success. You thought you are successful, you find yourself seeking success. So this is where Vedanta comes, that we should embark upon a process, not on becoming successful, but on discovering myself as successful. 2 different processes are there. To become successful, I'm a grabber. Because then my success is determined by what I gained, what I achieved, how much approval I got. That becomes a criterion for my success. And as I say, it's a never satiable criterion, and I will always be driven by this pressure from within, and ultimately a person will die exhausted, burnt out and exhausted. You yourself go and find out from people who are successful as to what they think about themselves. Whether they feel that they are successful or not is more important than whether the world feels that they are successful. They say yesterday. It's not important the world calls me successful, or it's important that I should call myself successful. And I should not guarantee, because again, there is no such thing as total, there is probability. But in all probabilities, you will not find anybody who feels successful within himself, as long as that success is by the material criteria. No matter can make me successful. Because I am spirit in nature, and matter cannot do anything to the spirit. And therefore, the process of discovering success rather than becoming successful. So how do I discover? So then we come to the third disposition of mind, called the sattvic disposition of mind. The rajasic disposition of mind, where there is cruelty. The tamasic disposition of mind, where there is cruelty. The rajasic disposition of mind, where there is greed and aggressiveness. And sattvic disposition of mind. So Lord Krishna describes also a sattvic person. Siddhya siddhyo nirvikara karta sattvika uchyate. Mukta sangaha anahamvadi dhrutyutsaha samanvitaha siddha siddhyo nirvikara karta sattvika uchyate. Some characteristics of sattvic karta or real successful person are given by Lord Krishna. One of the characteristics is siddha siddhyo nirvikaraha. Nirvikaraha, one who remains undisturbed or unaffected by siddhi or asiddhi. Siddhi means so-called success and asiddhi means so-called failure, which are both the characteristics of outcome, meaning that one who remains unaffected by what the outcome is. One characteristic. Siddha siddhyoho nirvikara. One who is even-minded in success and failure. This even-mindedness or samatvam is what Lord Krishna emphasizes a great deal, because in that state of mind there is a self-acceptance. A self-satisfaction is there when the mind enjoys samatvam or sameness. That goes sattva. So one of the characteristics of sattvic mind is that there is sameness of the mind, which is when you feel self-acceptance, self-satisfaction. Siddha siddhyoho nirvikara. Siddhi and asiddhi. Success and failure. The success and failure stand for all pairs of opposites. Lord Krishna mentions one pair of opposites, success and failure. This is called dvandva, meaning they are like the two sides of a coin. Success and failure, heat and cold, birth and death, honor and dishonor, comfort and discomfort, praise and censure. This is what keeps on happening. Lord Krishna says that, look, in your life you are going to encounter these pairs of opposites regardless of what you do. This will come to you. This is called prarabdha, What is prarabdha, whether you believe it or not, but prarabdha means destiny. The certain things are destined to happen, or the life is made that way. Lord Krishna has created the universe, and the universe is created as these pairs of opposites. That's what the universe is all about. Success and failure, honor and dishonor, praise and censure, comfort and discomfort, birth and death. So now, one way is to keep on reacting to what happens out there. This is one approach of life. that I keep on reacting to what happens out there. If success comes, I react with elation. Failure comes, I react with depression. Somebody honors me, I react with elation. Somebody dishonors me, I react with depression. Somebody praises me, I react with elation. Somebody censures me, condemns me, I react with depression. This is one approach towards life, where I keep on reacting, which is what usually a human being does, is to react to what happens out there. And since I cannot control what happens out there, I do not know what the next moment will bring, and therefore I can never be certain about what the next moment. There is always an apprehension in my mind as to what the next moment will bring. That apprehension, uncertainty creates all the stress. So, this is one of the reasons for unhappiness is unpredictability in life. Life is unpredictable. You cannot predict the future. As Swami used to say, so there are so many variables, known and unknown variables are there, and some of the variables you know, many of them we do not know, and even if you know the variables, there is very little you can do about them, meaning that the future is unpredictable. So Lord Krishna teaches one attitude towards future, what you cannot control. What we normally do is, we keep on reacting to what happens. And therefore, since what happens is unpredictable, I do not know what the next moment, my mind will be next moment. I cannot command that I'll be happy. I cannot command happiness. I cannot command peace of mind. My happiness and peace of mind simply depends upon what happens out there, and if it is favorable, desirable, then I am happy, otherwise I am not happy. And unfortunately, world has its own problems and own agenda, and therefore, what can I expect? In every relationship also, all my relationships are also characterized by expectation from others. Swamiji, appreciation is a natural need, that's called expectation. I expect others to appreciate me because my happiness depends upon their appreciation. And so, these expectations. So my relationship, since I always want the world to make me happy, I always expectation other people also with whom I am related, I want them also to conduct themselves in a manner that makes me happy. Basically, what is my expectation of you? That you should make me happy. What will make me happy? That changes every moment. Right now you should sit down, then I'll be happy. Later on, stand up, then I'll be happy. Don't talk, then I'll be happy. Hey, you're not saying and talking at all. Talk, that makes me happy. What makes me happy keeps on changing, and therefore my expectation of others also keep on changing. This is one way. Expectations. This is a way of trying to become successful. Lord Krishna says just drop it. Meaning that what you cannot predict. So Lord Krishna teaches some very beautiful attitudes. One attitude is towards what you cannot control. You cannot control the world. You cannot control the happenings. You cannot control the people. You cannot control the outcome. You try as much as you can. We are not saying that you don't try at all. Try to be successful. And try to have your way as much as you can, but then you cannot be certain that you will have your way. And therefore, be prepared that you may not have your way. Our Swami used to say that every endeavor that you undertake is a calculated risk. So when you perform any action, it's a calculated risk. You predict what the outcome will be based on the information that we have and our experience. We do predict the outcome, and accordingly we want to be successful, and you should be. We should work for success. Nobody says we should work for failure. We should work for success. But success depends upon the outcome, and outcome depends upon my predictions. And my predictions depend upon my knowledge. And my knowledge being limited, therefore I cannot always be sure that my predictions are right. And secondly, the outcome also depends upon my ability. And my ability also being limited, I cannot be sure that all the time my effort will be an adequate effort. I cannot be sure. Otherwise, everybody feels, that's why the feeling of guilt is very common. Swami, I wish I had not done that. Swami, wish I had done that. In the hindsight, we keep on judging ourselves. Swamiji, when some near and dear one passes away, then the people who are left feel like this. Swamiji, I think the closest one feels, I wish I had taken this person, my husband to this hospital or that hospital. This doctor was wrong. I should have gone to this doctor. This hospital was the wrong place. Should have taken on to that hospital. This medication was not right. I should have done this. I should not have done that. So what do you expect from yourself? I should always be right. But then I don't have enough knowledge. Even when I have knowledge, I don't have enough power to change things. Our power is limited, our knowledge is limited, our capacities are limited. And therefore, there can be no guarantee that the outcome is going to be what I call successful. There is no guarantee at all, because we are limited beings. Our Swami used to say that we are successful, it is a miracle. Based on the fact that we are born limited we have some capacities, we have the power to know, we have the power to will, we have the power to act. Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, this threefold power is given to us, but the powers are limited. Sometimes we have knowledge, we don't have the power. I used to give example of the physics professor who once climbed a tree to pluck a fruit or something like that. And he lost the grip. And from a tall tree started falling down. Now this physics professor knows at what rate he is falling down. 32.2 feet per second at acceleration, he is falling down. He knows it all. He can't help it, he can't change it, He'll fall down anyway. So sometimes we have the knowledge but no power. Sometimes we have power but no knowledge. Hurricane is coming, you have the knowledge, what can you do? Nothing. And many things you don't have knowledge, earthquakes, etc., you just don't know. So knowledge is there, power is not there, power is there, knowledge is not there, knowledge is not there, power also is not there. And therefore, in fact, we are destined to fail if after all our own efforts created success, then in all likelihood we will fail because our knowledge is limited, power is limited. That we become successful is a miracle, says. Meaning that all the odds are against us being successful, and still we become successful is a miracle. It's the grace of Ishvara. Enjoy that, But don't get depressed in success, failure, because that is something to be expected. So I used to say, when you begin any new task, ask yourself, are you ready for failure? So that's a negative thinking. It's not negative thinking. Not working for failure, are you ready for failure? What will happen if you do not achieve what you are seeking? Will you be still sane or will you get devastated? You will get totally depressed, devastated. You cannot handle that situation, then better think about it. So Lord Krishna even tells Arjuna also. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Tasmad uttishta kaunte yuddhaya krute. Hey Arjuna, you have the best of both. Hatova prapsasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim. If you win this battle, then you will earn the kingdom of the whole world. If you lose the battle and you lose your life fighting the battle, straight away you go to heaven. So both ways, there is gain. Tasmat, therefore, uttishta, arise and fight the battle. Because the result is going to be, successful for you. Arjuna was in a very unenviable situation where the Dharma Yuddha is there. Then Lord Krishna says, but before you fight the battle, you have this frame of mind. It is not the outcome for which you are fighting the battle. It is for the cause that you are fighting this battle. Lord Krishna says, hey Arjuna, you are fighting this battle not for the outcome, but for the cause. For Arjuna, what is the cause? Dharma was the cause. Protection of Dharma was the cause. That is what he represented. That's what Pandavas represented. And therefore, before fighting the battle, you first of all acquire this disposition of mind. Where you can handle both success, that you can maintain a calmness of the mind or a poise of the mind, a favorable disposition of mind regardless of what happens. Meaning, prepare your mind for any kind of an outcome first, before you undertake any task. Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddha yujasva. Tato, thereafter may you undertake this battle. Sukha dukkhe same krutva. In your mind, you resolve that if sukha comes, also is okay, dukkha comes, also is alright. Pleasure comes, fine. Pain comes, fine. So how can pain be fine? Pleasure is fine. How can pain be fine? Labha labho. If there is gain, it is fine. Loss, also fine. Jaya jayo. Victory is fine. Defeat also is fine. Lord Krishna says that before you undertake fighting this battle, in your mind, you be resolved that you will come across one of these outcomes. Whether you will win or you will lose. That's the outcome. If you win, there is gain. Lose, there is loss. That's the outcome. If there is gain, there is happiness, pleasure. Loss, there is pain. That's the outcome. Be prepared to greet this outcome. Greet the outcome. Have graceful acceptance of either of the outcomes. So Lord Krishna says, be prepared for outcome before you undertake any effort. Be prepared mentally for the outcome before you undertake the effort. Understand that we are working for victory, working for gain, working for success. By the same time, be prepared also for failure, that it may come. So right in the beginning, imagine yourself that you are losing this battle, you lost the battle. How will you feel? Swami, you will feel miserable, I will be depressed. Suppose there is a loss in the undertaking that you have, how will you feel? I will be devastated. If you think that you will be miserable, devastated, then think before you do it. Meaning that you should be also able to handle failure. But Swamiji, how can failure and success be equal? How can gain and loss be equal? How can pleasure and pain be equal? Can they be equal? Is it not that success should make me happy and failure should make me unhappy? Is it not so? It is so, Swamiji. Is it so? Not necessarily. So, here again, this is a very important thing. It is not success that makes me happy. Success means victory that makes me happy, or defeat that makes me unhappy. It is not gain that makes me happy, or loss that makes me unhappy. It is not comfort that makes me happy, and discomfort makes me unhappy. Even victory doesn't make me happy, or defeat also need not make me unhappy. Even failure need not make me unhappy. You know what makes me unhappy? Not failure. I am a failure, that's what makes me unhappy. And the outcome doesn't make me happy or unhappy. Outcome neither makes me happy nor makes me unhappy, but when I connect myself with the outcome and I say, I am responsible for that outcome, I take the responsibility for the outcome, that is when the success and failure or happiness and unhappiness reaction comes. See, when I judge myself successful, I am successful. That means I take the responsibility for outcome, that I did it. By the same token, if the outcome is opposite, then I brand myself a failure and I condemn myself. So what is meant by being even-minded in success and failure? Not that I am not sensitive. Swami, you mean you don't feel it's a failure, you don't recognize it as failure? You do recognize it as failure. You do recognize the loss, not that you don't recognize, not that you are not sensitive, not that you don't understand, you do understand. But then what you should stay away from is judging yourself based on the outcome. Our happiness and unhappiness comes self-judgment, not from an event. We think that an event makes me happy, an event makes me unhappy. No, it is self-judgment that makes me happy or unhappy. So when I take the responsibility for the outcome, I identify myself with the outcome and I judge myself based on the outcome, that is when this up and down, harsha and shoka, elation and depression happens. So Lord Krishna says, just skip this step. Keep a distance with outcome. Two-step response. One-step response is to right away identify the outcome and brand myself as success or failure. Both are cause of pain, by the way. No, Swamiji, I'm successful, I'm happy. So that's what you think. Momentarily you're happy. But that happiness has diminishing return. So next time you will always want more. Even on fundraising also, or any attempt. So $1 million. So next year then people will expect that there are institutes who keep on judging you and who keep on grading you. And last year $1 million, next year also $1 million, third year $1 million, no good. $1 million is no good. You must grow. 1.2, okay. 1.5, even better. Next one, 2 million. So 1 year, 1 million made me feel successful. Second year, same 1 million will make me feel a failure. Because that judging, that institute that grades me has graded me as not number 4. He'll give me 3 marks. If I stay with 1 million, 2 marks. Stay with 1 million, 1 mark. So it is not a given outcome that makes me happy or unhappy. It is self-judgment that makes me happy or unhappy. Then, if I judge myself successful, then I am only creating a ground for failure. Because then I will need more to satisfy that ego in order to feel successful. So ego becomes more and more demanding. I wants more and more to feel successful. And therefore, I will work myself into a failure. Observe. Our own life we can observe how our mind works and how therefore we manage to create all these stresses for our own self. When I did not have a job, then getting a $20,000 job was a great big deal. That's all, you got it, so what? Everybody has $20,000, what's the big deal, Swamiji? Then you must rise to 25,000. Then keep on asking me, what's the raise this year? What's the raise that year? Where have you? Oh, but he's 30,000, you're only $20,000. If success depends upon this ego gratification, upon self-judgment, then it is also a very slippery ground, and therefore that success cannot be a sustained sense of success. Right away you will work for the next goal, and then your own standard of success will change, and you will find yourself driving to the next goal, and then to the next goal. That is how they actually, this is how the capitalist system works. To use human being as a machine for producing more and more outcome, and their bottom line grows at your cost. Because they keep on giving you new targets every year. Salespeople means target, marketing means target, everybody has targets. And the targets keep on increasing, growing further and further, until you drive yourself to a failure. That's what happens. Anyway, you have to work in the system, so there's nothing we can do about the system, and we have to work in that system. And Swamiji, whether you judge yourself from outcome or not, people will judge you. That also we'll accept. So outcome is important. And let people judge you also, and that judgment also is important. All we are saying is that we should not judge ourselves from outcome. That's what Lord Krishna teaches. When Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that be prepared for either of the results, victory or loss, it only means this. How can these two outcomes be equal? They are opposite outcomes. How can they be equal? So what is equality? Equality is that I do not judge myself. If I judge myself successful when a favorable outcome comes, I am going to judge myself failure when unfavorable outcome comes. Therefore, in favorable outcome, I am not successful. Outcome is success, I am not successful. Outcome is failure, I am not a failure. Then who are you, Swamiji? Then there is no excitement in life. So there is excitement when you feel successful. Like this, life is very dull, looks like. Is Lord Krishna teaching dullness? Is taking all our excitement out of our life by this kind of an attitude? Says no, it is not dullness. He says sattva, rajas, tamas. Tamas is dullness. What is rajas? Rajas is a person, rajasic person, who is the one who judges himself from the outcome. When Lord Krishna says, do not judge yourself by outcome, you become a sattvic person. Who is tamasic person doesn't work for the outcome. Doesn't put in effort for the outcome. Who is not sensitive at all. So we are not talking about insensitivity. A tamasic person is the one who is insensitive to outcome and nothing affects him. Now that is denseness. No, I'm not talking about that. There are people who don't get affected by anything. There are children who, what's your result? Nothing, I failed, but nothing happens to him. Oh, I didn't get my result, I did not get admission. It doesn't matter. So there are those to whom outcome does not, we are not talking about insensitivity. So sometimes the tamas and sattva look alike, outwardly. But they are totally at the opposite poles. Being sensitive and still enjoying an equanimous disposition of mind is what we are talking about. We are talking about evolving from tamas to rajas and rajas to sattva. That's the evolution we have to carry out. Our Swami used to say that by giving us a human embodiment, God has done all His work. By giving us this human embodiment, the highest level of evolution is a human being. That's the, I don't think that some people predict that human being may, we are going to have 6 organs of perception. What will be the next stage? I don't know. This is the highest stage that you can have as far as evolution is concerned. But now next level evolution we have to carry out. There is what you call spiritual evolution. The material evolution has taken place. The spiritual evolution is what we have to carry out. This one tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva, and sattva to transcending sattva. That is even, we need not even worry about it. We'll worry about it later. Right now what is important for us is to transit from tamas to rajas and rajas to sattva. So tamas also Lord Krishna talks about. Arjuna became tamasic actually. Arjuna, because of his sadness and grief, he became tamasic. And therefore, it is not that he did not want to do things, he was incapable of doing things. That is a description of Arjuna. The Arjuna reports that, oh Lord, I cannot even stand. I feel dizzy. I find it difficult to stand. He collapsed in the middle of his chariot. He dropped his bow and arrow. That is tamasic state. Tam tatha krupaya vishtam ashtupurna kulekshanam. The Arjuna was overcome by pity, self-pity. Not by, pity towards others. That's a good quality. Self-pity is tamas. Pitying himself that what he found himself incapable of doing anything in the situation. I can't avoid the situation. What can I do now? So from tamas to rajas, therefore Lord Krishna says, Niyatam kuru karmatvam. You perform your duty. Do what is right. Don't sit idle. And tamasic people have to be always, because tamasic people cannot even be motivated by giving incentive. You want to give incentive, nothing happens to them. I don't care for incentive. This tamasic person cannot be motivated by incentive. You know what he requires? He requires the punishment. Fear. A tamasic person is actually made to do things by fear. If you don't do this, it's a punishment for you. 1, 2 and 3, third time you are gone. Job is gone. That is how. So tamasic people have to be thus given, threatened. That Shastra does it. Akarane pratyavaya. Says if you fail to perform your duty, then the hell is waiting for you. You are incurring papa and therefore you are inviting suffering for yourself. So to avoid suffering you do, otherwise you won't do. Some people, they do things only because they want to avoid suffering. Other people do because they want to accomplish something, they want to feel successful, their ego gratification. Tamas to rajas. So we have within ourselves some tamas also. At that time to whip up the tamas by activity. Even they talk about this is some different thing, but they talk about the obstacles to meditation, Tamas is obstacle, rajas is obstacle, and sattva also ultimately obstacle. But that we will wait, that obstacle we will wait for when sattva happens. But tamas, when you are meditating, when tamoguna takes over the mind, you feel what? Sleeping, dozing off. Swami, I don't remember I meditated. Was I meditating or was I sleeping? I don't remember. If you don't remember, then in all likelihood you are sleeping. Because if you are awake, then you will remember that I was meditating. See, because when you get from the sleep, then you know that I slept well. Same time, if you are conscious, remember that I was very peaceful. So the teacher says, Laye sambodhe chittam. When you find that you are dozing off, tamas has come, feeling sleepy, sambodhe. Wake up that mind. Get up, do some pranayama, do some breathing exercise, walk about, let that blood circulation in the body, in the mind, wake up the mind. So when a person becomes tamasic, he has to be whipped up to activity. In a vikshiptam shamayet punaha, rajoguni person, his mind is distracted, is all over, has to be gathered. And that's, the distractions come because of self-judgment. So Lord Krishna says, Siddha Siddhyo Samo Bhutva. What is meant by equanimity in success and failure is not judging myself either successful or failure. That belongs to the outcome, it doesn't belong to me. You follow? You perform an action, this is an outcome. Outcome is success, outcome is failure. That doesn't mean I am successful, I am failure. I perform the action. That is where the I comes. So far we don't, that. So people say, oh Swamiji, I am not doing anything. No, you are doing. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadayana. First Lord Krishna says, take the responsibility for karma, because karma is what you can control. So simple rule is, take responsibility. If you judge yourself based on what you can control, and that is your effort. Ma phaleshu kadachana, meaning that do not judge yourself based on what you cannot control. Do not take unnecessary responsibility. Sometimes human being takes too much responsibility. Some people are irresponsible, don't take any responsibility at all. Other fellows take too much responsibility. Right responsibility is what Lord Krishna teaches. What is the right responsibility? Responsibility for that which you can control. And do not take responsibility for what you cannot control. What can you control? The action or the effort is what you control. Outcome is what you cannot control. So take responsibility for action. Very important lesson. Same time, do not identify with the outcome. Do not take responsibility for what? Do not identify with the outcome. Don't judge yourself based on outcome. Don't judge your success or failure based on outcome. That is success. So that state of mind that you get is called sattvic mind. That poise of the mind, that equanimity of the mind is a sattvic state of mind. And that is success. So understand that success is not because something happened out there or did not happen. Success is because you made the right effort. So Lord Krishna teaches how to judge myself. And therefore, what is source of success or source of motivation is not the outcome, but its very effort is the source of motivation or source of self-judgment. Ultimately, I will grow to a point where I don't judge that way also. But since right now I am accustomed to judging myself based on outcome, so Lord Krishna says, don't do that. Don't condemn yourself. Don't punish yourself because outcome is not favorable, because you don't control outcome. And don't punish yourself, don't judge yourself, don't condemn yourself based on what you cannot control. So we keep condemning ourselves because the outcome is not what I want. Lord Krishna says, did you make the right effort? Okay. So that should be your source of satisfaction and not the outcome. So first lesson in success. Success is not judged by the outcome. Success is judged by a disposition of mind. And that disposition of mind can be if you have the right attitude. First is the attitude towards the outcome. We have a wrong attitude towards outcome. Well, outcome can be judged as success and failure. But that outcome need not become the basis of judging myself. Lord Krishna, because you are not the author of the outcome. Ma karma phala hetur bhuhu. Lord Krishna says, do not become the author of the outcome, meaning that do not judge yourself based on outcome. But Swami, the whole world judges me by my outcome. You respect that. We respect whatever criteria that the world has decided, and we respect it. I'm not saying that become indifferent to outcome. Don't work for success, we are not saying that. But regardless of what we do, we cannot be sure that we will be successful. Therefore, don't judge let the world judge you. You don't. It is not the judgment of the world that is important. It is my judgment of myself is important to me. The whole world can judge me whatever it wants. If I judge myself a successful person, I am successful. Thank you, Swamiji. I will always judge myself successful now, from now on. No, you cannot. I cannot will that judgment. It has to happen. Swami, from now on, I will decide I will be satisfied with myself. You cannot be. That self-satisfaction has to happen. And that happens by the right attitude, not by will. So you cannot be happy by will, otherwise who will be unhappy? I'll always be happy. Some people say, you're right, be happy. Have you seen this kind of a sutra? Some kind of a, this catch phrase. Be happy. Khush raho. If I could be happy, I don't need to come to your lecture also, because then why should I listen to your lecture? I come to your lecture so I can be happy. If I can be happy by myself, then I don't need anything. Unfortunately, we cannot command to be happy. We cannot will to be happy. Happiness has to happen. Can you command love? Yes, I love you. You can say that is one thing. But then love is not in words. Love is something that has to, is a state of mind. You cannot control, command that. It has to happen. Happiness has to happen. Satisfaction has to happen. And for that, I require this right disposition of mind, which comes with the right attitudes and values. So otherwise, who will be not satisfied? Everybody wants satisfaction. Meaning that even the world can judge me failure. If I do not judge myself failure, then I'm okay. You follow? So ultimately, it is my judgment of myself that is important. So Lord Krishna says, it is up to you not to judge yourself by outcome. If you want to judge yourself by the effort, but not by outcome. Even the world will judge you by outcome. And you respect that world's judgment and do what you need to do. But don't judge yourself based on other people's standards. Judge yourself based on the right attitudes. So this is the first step in being successful, is the attitude towards the outcome. What is the attitude? Not judging myself based on outcome, not identifying the outcome, not taking responsibility for the outcome. That's the first step. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.